Well, hey everybody, I'm Nick Pettit.
I'm Jason Seifer.
And you're watching a very special live workshop where we are going to be answering your questions by phone. So if you call 407-545-SWAG.
7924.
Yes, so 407-545.
7924.
Then you will get us on Skype, and we will answer your questions about web design, web development,
Life.
Hair products, and so much more.
Yeah.
So
personal relationships.
Relationship advice, yeah.
Basically, whatever you want. It's kind of like a little fireside chat.
Well, hey everybody, I'm Nick Pettit.
I'm Jason.
Hello, you've got the Treehouse Show with Jason and Nick. How can I help you?
Hi, I'm just dialing because of the live workshop.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. What can we help you with?
No, I'm just dialing to see if I can just listen to the video live stream directly, or
Yeah. No.
thought it was just
We're live. You're live on the air right now. Do you have any questions about anything? Life, web design, web development,
Hair products.
Yeah, whatever.
Oh, well, now that I'm live, yeah, basically, I'm just wondering if we want to work on Drupal sometime down the road, or WordPress.
Yeah. Google and WordPress. Got it.
Drupal and WordPress.
Oh, Drupal and WordPress. Sorry about that. You're trying to learn Drupal and WordPress.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, well, we have courses on WordPress at teamtreehouse.com, which I recommend going to right now and subscribing.
Right. Yeah, I have done that before. Yeah.
Okay, you're already off to a great start.
Thanks.
How is everything with you?
Well, basically, brushing up my skills.
Yeah, you're working on your skills. That's a good start.
And
Keep working on them, refine them, hone them.
There's a lag between the video and the conversation on the phone. That's why I get.
Oh no, concentrate on the phone. Maybe mute your computer's video and audio so that you can concentrate on the phone. Listen to the phone. The phone is what gives you, instructions.
It's a good pro tip.
Listen to my voice.
Right. Well, basically, I have been working on PHP and design and WordPress. I haven't worked before, but it's an excellent platform.
WordPress is an excellent platform. Lots of themes, lots of plugins.
Right.
You can make, wonderful websites.
Hmm?
Right. Yeah, definitely.
In fact, I believe we just recently launched a course on local WordPress development at Treehouse.
Yeah, that's right. I haven't tried it out. It looks very good. Just because I've been doing other topics like HTML, CSS.
Very good.
PHP. But I think it's an excellent platform. Definitely. And I was just wondering if PHP has, or Treehouse has this nice layouts on other platforms besides WordPress, which I haven't worked that much on WordPress, but I think it's we'll try.
Yeah, we have wonderful courses on a variety of topics. You can learn HTML, CSS, design, business, mobile, from iOS to Android development, and so much more. So if you don't have any other questions, just want to thank you very much for calling.
Oh, thanks to you for taking my call. I knew I was going to be live.
Yeah, you're live. We're all live. We're all in this together.
We're living this right now.
Living this right now. All right. Have a good one.
Thanks.
Bye.
All right. Well, if you're just joining us, we are doing a very special workshop today where we are taking your calls live.
You can call us at 407-545-SWAG. Swag.
Or that's 407-545-7924.
Right.
Right.
That
And-
that is a Skype number I bought today.
And we will take your calls live and answer any questions that you might have about web design, web development, or
Anything. Pretty much anything.
life, hair products, etc. We had to stop and start the stream there briefly, but I think we're good now. But
Some questions that are not phone calls.
Oh, we have questions that are not phone calls. Okay, go ahead.
okay,
Go ahead, caller.
yeah, we're good.
I'll send them to you.
Okay,
You have chat?
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, okay, we're getting these questions slightly delayed, sort of live.
It's kind of live.
Yeah, kind of live. It was worth the wait. Maulik asks, which is good to start app development, iOS or Android first?
Well, I've done a little bit of iOS development at this point, and I really like iOS a lot, although Android has gotten to be a much more mature platform in the past couple of years, and it's pretty good now from what I understand. I haven't done any Android development personally, but I hear it's pretty good. Ultimately, you're going to need to support both platforms, really. I mean,
Right.
if you're developing an app, like let's say you have a web app like Treehouse, for example, and you released, an iOS app, you'd probably want to release an Android app as well, a companion app. So if you're doing an app for mobile, you're going to want to target both platforms. So yeah, I'd just say learn both, really. One isn't necessarily better than the other or easier to learn than the other. They're just different.
Yeah, and start with whichever one you want to. You're not going to make a mistake starting with the iOS platform or the Android platform. If your potential target audience has more customers on one platform, maybe Android is the way to go if they have more customers, or if you want to target certain features that maybe iOS locks down, start with Android, or, if you really like iOS, start with that. We can't really tell you which one's a better platform to start because you kind of need to know more about the project, the audience, and things like that. Next up, Grace asks, what language would you recommend for a mobile game?
So I've been doing a little bit of game development on the side, and
He's trying to kick the habit, but
yeah, can't stop. I've played so many video games that I'm just laying my own train tracks now. Basically, there's a couple of different options with building mobile games.
that should be your Twitter bio.
you could go with an HTML5 game. That's kind of a more convoluted but interesting route because it involves a number of different technologies. It's going to be a lot of JavaScript, and you're going to have some technical hurdles there. If you want to go for maximum performance, it's probably best to code directly on those platforms. So you would code in Objective-C on iOS, and you'd code in Java on Android. However, there are some other options. For example, if you use the Unity game engine, you can actually compile to a multitude of different platforms, including iOS and Android. I think several other game engines, including the Unreal Engine, supports that as well. So you can go ahead and launch to those different platforms. And it varies in difficulty, but the idea in a lot of these cross-platform engines is that you build the code once and then you just make small tweaks for each platform to kind of make it work across different devices. If you've never built a mobile game before, I would actually recommend starting with just one particular platform, probably iOS in this case, because they actually just released a game engine with iOS 7 called SpriteKit. And in SpriteKit, you can make simple 2D games, and it manages a lot of the complexities of a game engine for you. So it's pretty good, and that way you'll actually get experience directly on the platform. So if you want to go to a cross-platform solution, you'll know about the nuances of each platform a little bit more. So
it's really interesting that so many of those game engines were released lately for a multitude of people to develop on. Unity's always had basically a consumer or indie level version for a relatively low subscription fee, and then we were talking recently about how Unreal came out. Okay, looks like we have another live caller. We're going to answer this. Hello, you've got Treehouse Live with Nick and Jason. How can we help you?
There's no way this is live right now.
This is 100% live right now. What's your name?
It's totally real.
Larry.
Larry.
Larry, nice to meet you, Larry.
What's up, Larry?
I was just wondering what's going on with Jason's little hair thing.
Right here? This?
Yeah, I think I've got a little bit of a delay, but
Okay.
I'm
Are you talking about the little Jerry curl that's like right in the front?
Yeah, the Jerry curl.
Ah, dude, all the time. I have no control over this. My hair is actually frighteningly wavy. It's very supple, and I require a lot of product to get this even to this manageable state.
He's very sensitive about
Yeah,
it.
it's completely unmanageable normally. However, it does make me feel very powerful when I'm wearing my Superman onesie.
It's looking much better now.
Thank you, Larry. That right here. That's where I feel that.
Well, you guys are doing a great job. I just wanted to.
You're doing a great job, Larry, and I hope you look in the mirror every day and tell yourself that at least 6 times over and over.
Daily affirmations.
All right, thanks for calling, Larry.
Thanks, Larry.
Thank you.
Bye. I like Larry.
Yeah.
Was,
Wonder what Larry's doing right now.
probably in disbelief that he was able to get us on the show.
Yep. I think that's why nobody has called yet. I think they don't believe that we're actually doing this right now. In fact, we don't either.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think we got a couple of more text questions
Yeah,
that we can answer until we get another caller.
Andrew. Well, wait, we got another caller.
Hey, look at this.
You've got the Treehouse live show with Jason and Nick. What's going on?
Hey guys, how's it going?
Hey, it's great. How's it going with you?
I'm doing really well.
What's your name?
Really well. Thanks for taking. My name's Matt.
Matt. What's going on, Matt?
So thanks for taking my call. I got a question for you guys.
Okay.
I've been doing Treehouse for about a year, and I'm feeling pretty good with a lot of the basic coding stuff. So I'm working on a website that has a lot of instructional videos,
Right.
and I've noticed that most of the browsers will support MP4 video, but Mozilla doesn't. So I'm just trying to find a workaround or a player that might be the same across all platforms. I've noticed that the different movie formats for Mozilla seem to be a lot lower quality. I just wondered if you guys had any input.
Well, there are definitely different options that you have with something like that. I know some of them are going to be more paid products. Something that I know people use a lot is JW Player. They're not sponsoring the show, but they do have different versions where you can either start with HTML5 up front, which is going to use the native browser format, and then it will also fall back to a Flash movie for older browsers or unsupported versions.
Gotcha.
Offhand, I don't know of any. What do we use? There's one we use on Treehouse. I think it's Me.js or something like that.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to figure out. I can't remember what we actually use.
Yeah, it's that's a great product though. Yeah, Media Element JS. Check
There we
that
go.
one out too.
Yeah.
Media Element JS.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
and you can get to that at MediaElementJs.com.
Or MediaElementJS.com, I think is how it's read, Jason.
Yeah, might be. So it's got, it's got a lot. It's got different plugins, and it supports HTML5 video and audio. That's something that at this point in time, it's probably best to let an external library handle for you.
Yeah. Okay. I've noticed too. I'm gonna ask you guys another quick follow-up question.
Sure.
Because it might be solved in one of those players, but I noticed when a media query takes place, if the video is on automatic, like autoplay, and you want to not have it display on the smaller screens, that the video will keep playing even though you can't see it. And there's no options in the CSS, and there's only the options in the actual the media, in the actual player option. So my guess is one of these would probably have more control over that type of stuff.
More than likely, yeah. I can't say for sure. I've never encountered that specific issue.
Cool. Well, thanks for taking my call, guys. Appreciate it. I'll check those out.
Yeah, thanks so much for calling.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Cheers,
Bye.
thanks.
Bye. That was nice.
Yeah.
All right, James asks, what gem would you recommend for multi-level access? Now, this is going to be a Ruby and Rails question, and the gem that I would recommend is called Pundit. You can check that out on GitHub. Let me see if I can pull up a link here. That one has recently seen a little bit more development. This is based on, I think, an older plugin, and it gives you a really nice policy framework. I think we can go ahead and cut to this tab if you want to. Okay, so the Pundit Gem is focused around the idea of policy classes where you can actually write the different policies in code. So if you look at this class that is a post policy right here, you set the user and the posts, and then you can define the abilities in code right in the class. Then you go through and you can check this in the controller. Okay, looks like we got another call. Going to answer that. Hello, you got the Treehouse Show with Jason and Nick. We're live.
Hey, guys.
Hey, how's it going? What's your name?
My name's Rick.
Hey, Rick.
Hi, Rick.
So I got a question with regards to gamifying things. What is your biggest lesson about achievements in gamifying that's come out of that whole push that you guys did for the 1,000,000 points?
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering, what lessons did you learn, and what did it take to really make it work?
People will do anything for internet points.
That's the short version, certainly.
Yeah. Well, the long version is that we've learned quite a few things from the whole point system with Treehouse. One of the major things that we learned is you probably never really want to take points away from people because that's really discouraging and they earned them. Now, this might not seem too bad up front, like, hey, in what sort of situation would somebody lose points? Well, at least in the scenario of Treehouse, we have different tracks, right? Now, with a platform that's always evolving, such as Ruby on Rails with different versions, eventually we need to update content on the site. So you go through a course, you earn a certain number of points, and then what happens if we have to update that? We move some videos, move some stages around.
Right. We don't want to take those points away just because we updated the material. And another thing that we have where we could take points away is our forum. People can upvote and downvote different answers, and if somebody got a ton of downvotes, we don't want to discourage them by taking away points. We kind of just want to award points for the upvotes.
It's not Reddit.
Yeah, exactly. So in terms of gamification, though, from a larger standpoint, I actually wrote a blog post about this over on the Treehouse blog. I'll try to see if I can find that. But let's see. There we go. Yeah, it's called Hit the Reset Button on Gamification. I have it up on my screen right now. One of the things to keep in mind about games in general is that it's really just a series of interesting choices. You want your web app, even though it's not a video game, to react to the choices that somebody makes. So if they go for, good forum answers, or if they go for maybe, some sort of course, you want the app to react somehow to that. But does that kind of answer your question?
Very much so. Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Thanght so much.
Okay, I'll call again in about 10 minutes.
All right, we'll talk to you then.
We'll be ready.
Yeah.
Take care. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, we missed a call due to call waiting on that last call. We don't have a queue or anything like that. This is a pretty bare bones system.
Just going with Skype here.
Yeah. So go ahead and call back. If you wanna. Let's see. Did we miss any questions in the meantime? Svetlana asks, what programming language is better to start with, PHP or Ruby?
Well, obviously, it's going to be Ruby, right? Because you're a Ruby programmer, and I don't want to upset your feelings.
Yeah, well, it's a complicated question because Treehouse teaches both.
Right.
But really, whatever you want to start with. If there's something that you want to build and you see a project in PHP that looks good, start with that. You want to start with Ruby? Start with that. I don't have a good answer for you. They're both great languages, and you should learn both.
I will say that when I was first getting started, Ruby on Rails wasn't really established yet. It wasn't a thing. It was still, a very small community, and just getting its start. And I first learned how to do back-end web development using PHP, and I thought that was actually a kind of wonderful experience because it was very similar to the instant gratification that you get with something like HTML or CSS, where once you have a PHP server running, you can just type in some PHP code directly into a PHP file and see the results on the screen. If you want to print out a variable, or like the really classic example is changing the copyright date at the bottom of a web page, where you just print out, the current year, and that way you don't have to update your HTML files when the year changes. So I thought that was kind of a nice introduction to back-end programming. Of course, PHP is very robust and powerful. You can take it way further than that, obviously. There's lots of great frameworks. But I then started using Ruby on Rails. I just found it to be a lot cleaner. It made a lot more sense to me personally. But I almost think at this point it's kind of a personal preference thing. Both languages are pretty mature and have really good frameworks around them.
Yeah, learn both, but start with Ruby. All right, looks like we got another call coming in. Hey, you've got the Treehouse live with Jason and Nick. What can we do for you?
Yeah, hi Jason. Hi Nick. My name's Scott, and I'm phoning from Scotland in the UK.
Scott from Scotland.
It's easy to remember.
Scott from Scotland. So how are you guys doing?
I'm doing okay.
Doing well. How are you?
Hanging in there.
Yeah, I'm great. I'm great. Great chemistry used to have together, and it's a pleasure to what.
Yeah, definitely. I agree.
Also, as well, I'm trying to get my little daughter, my little girl, interested in web design and development as well. So, hopefully she'll have this back this second.
Well, I'd recommend checking out teamtreehouse.com for her.
I mean, Treehouse is a great way to start. Are you on Treehouse with her?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
All right, I think we're having some technical difficulties with this call, so I'm very sorry that I'm going to appear rude and click the hang up button.
Oh, no problem.
Oh, wait, and you're back. This thing's on. Hello. It's a live show, guys.
So did you have a question for us?
Yeah, I was just saying, any tips you could give to help me just she's 9-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
So just any tips that you could give, and if we're watching this at a later date, I can show, if you give her a shout out. My name's Kira.
Well, we'd like to give a shout out to Kayla. We're gonna do that again in a little bit, though, so that you'll see it. How about that?
Cool, excellent.
All right, thanks so much for calling, Scott from Scotland.
No problem. Thanks, guys. Thank you.
See you later. Bye. That was lovely.
That was lovely.
I enjoyed that quite a lot. All right.
Scott asks, what programming language was teamtreehouse.com written in? That was written in an early version of BASIC, and then recently ported over to Ruby on Rails.
Thank goodness for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really tough.
It was a little faster, though, when
yeah.
we had the BASIC version running.
Yeah, it's pretty optimized.
We needed so many fewer servers. No, teamtreehouse.com is written in a mixture of Ruby on Rails, Node.js, basically all the cool programming languages you hear about. They're all integrated in some way or another into Treehouse.
Our blog runs on WordPress, which of course is built in PHP, so there's yet another language. We use a lot of different languages to create Treehouse. Basically, we just try to use the best tool for the job,
right.
Really. Whatever it is that we're trying to accomplish, we do that. We have an iPad app out. Of course, that's written in Objective-C for iOS, so be sure to check that out. But that's yet another language that we use. So it's really a mixture of things.
Yeah, internal projects we have written in various languages. It's pretty much whatever is the best tool for the job. All right, this is a question for Nick. Grace asks, what do you guys think about Adobe Dreamweaver for coding websites?
So I'll be honest. I started out making websites when I was 11 years old using Microsoft Front Page.
I'm so judging you right now.
I dragged out the table tool and just dragged out a table, and I realized that was a really great way for me to lay out text and images on a web page. Of course, that's considered bad practice now, and I don't think Microsoft Front Page even is a thing anymore. Who knows? Maybe it is. I don't know. Google it. But then I graduated to Dreamweaver, so it was like a half step up, but not really. Generally, those kinds of WYSIWYG applications are kind of looked down upon by professional developers. A lot of people have very strong preferences for text editors like Vim or Sublime, Atom, or of course Workspaces from Treehouse. So the reason for that is a lot of those WYSIWYG, or what you see is what you get, programs will write a lot of code for you that may or may not be good code. And sometimes it can be difficult to kind of modify that for your own purposes. So generally, I don't see it used professionally much at all, actually.
Me neither. Haven't seen Dreamweaver used in quite some time. I would say to learn to code websites by hand, and then if you like Dreamweaver after that, continue to use it. Or maybe play around with it at first just to get something up and running until you need more power.
Yeah.
Once again, this is a live call-in show. If you'd like to talk to us, you can call 407-545-SWAG. Once again, that's 407-545-7924 if you'd like to talk to Nick and myself live.
It is April Fool's Day, but we will really pick up.
At some point. Zachary asks, what factors do you consider when choosing a backend for your web application?
Really, I think about what the application needs to do. And I think about, what frameworks are going to allow me to do that. So, if it's just something really simple, I might use a very bare bones Ruby framework, or maybe just do it in straight up PHP or whatever, again, because it's just that instant gratification. But if it's something more robust, yeah, you might go with Ruby on Rails, or you might go with Node.js. It really depends on what you need to do.
Yeah, the functionality of the application is what's really going to drive your decision when choosing a back-end framework. Node.js example, if you need to do some real-time communications between the client and the server, Node.js might be the right choice. Regular old CRUD app, create, read, update, destroy. That's a great fit for a Rails application. But an even bigger thing to consider is what is right for the team you will be working with.
That's a good point.
If you have a large application that's already written in PHP, maybe choosing Ruby on Rails to rewrite it is not the best idea. And the same goes for vice versa.
In fact, that was the case at Facebook. They started writing Facebook in PHP, and they used PHP for a long time. And at that point, they had so many human resources invested into PHP that it would be impossible for them to switch languages. So what they did was they actually rewrote PHP and made their own languages and their own frameworks so that it would work with their existing team, which is a kind of a crazy endeavor, but Facebook is a big enough company that they could do something like that.
Yeah, so really pick the right tool for the job. Matt Spiel asks, did Nick just say WYSIWYG? I thought it was pronounced WYSIWYG. Matt Spiel is wrong. He also has no forum on which to respond to that.
Omer asks, how does JavaScript server-side rendering work? I know it's kind of stupid, but is there any way we can use server-side with jQuery?
So JavaScript server-side rendering is an interesting topic there. Not completely sure what Omer means in this context, but for server-side rendering, generally what that means is the server is going to render the HTML that it is sending back to the browser rather than sending back an object such as some JSON data to be rendered client-side. So, let's say you are generating an unordered list with the host of the Treehouse show. The server responds with Nick and JSON. If you're using a client-side library, it's going to generate the unordered list and then a list item using the JSON that comes back with our names. It's going to go through, generate DOM elements in the client web browser. If you do this server-side, that work's going to be done on the server, and then the rendered HTML would be pushed to the client. Now, you can use jQuery in some Node.js applications. There's definitely plugins available. I'm pretty sure there are Grunt and Yeoman libraries for getting all of that working. So yeah, generally, it depends on the application, but client-side rendering is going to be kind of the preferred method these days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's going to be pretty challenging otherwise.
Yeah, unless you use Rails, they're doing a lot of server-side stuff there these days.
Shameless plug.
Yeah, Alex asks, typical college grads would use an internship to get their foot in the door for a job. After using Treehouse, would you recommend internships, or is it better to look for jobs or work on personal projects?
Ooh, that's a
Yes.
yes to all.
All of the above. Do all of that.
That's a really good question. So right now, it's a hotly debated topic, right? Should you go to college, or should you just try to educate yourself either by trying to do client work, using a service like Treehouse, etc., and just jump into the industry immediately?
Oh, we just missed a call.
Uh-oh.
I'm gonna try calling back.
We will get back to that question.
Thank you for calling the City of Oshawa. Please say the first and last name of the person, department, or service you wish to reach. You can also enter an extension number if known. To speak with a customer service representative, say service.
This is Nick and Jason from the Treehouse Live Show.
I didn't get that.
Nick and Jason from the Treehouse Live Show.
Sorry, I'm not sure I understood what you said.
We're just talking.
Your call is
We're
being
talking
transferred to
about.
the operator for assistance.
Okay.
Okay, I think that was a wrong number.
Yeah, didn't work out. Kind of sad. But anyway, yeah, it's a hotly debated topic. Should you go to college or not? I would actually err on the side of not going to college if you want to get a job in web design and development. If you just want to do freelance immediately, go ahead and jump right into it, especially if you already have some skills in that area, if you've, already built up some experience.
The more experience you have, the better off you'll be at the end of the day when you really do start applying for jobs.
Exactly. A lot of companies do pay attention to college degrees, and that's still a value that's very important to them. A lot of other companies, though, don't really hold that in high esteem at all, and they really look at experience above all else. So, for example, if you're applying to a design or development position at Treehouse, we're going to want to look at your portfolio, code you've written, etc., and actually see what you can do right now, regardless of how you gleaned that experience.
Once again, this is a live call-in show. Oh, here we are.
Here we go.
Hi, you've got Nick and Jason from Treehouse. We're talking to you live.
Hey, guys.
Hey.
How's it going?
It's Rick.
Hey, Rick. How
Hey,
are you?
Rick.
We missed you.
Yeah, I missed me too. Where do you guys see things developing as far as mobile platforms and teaching, MOOC kind of things with videos in third world countries?
Well, as they get more access to technology, they will have more access to Treehouse.
Right. That's an interesting question. I can't really speak to the latter portion of your question about it spreading to third world countries, but what I will say is that, we want to change the world at Treehouse. We want to spread Treehouse as much as possible, and right now we're an English-only site, but obviously we'd want to try to expand that at some point in the future. We don't have anything to announce at this time, but, we want to get it in as many places as we can. So that's something that we'll have to address at some point, and it's probably something that every online education outlet will have to address. There's going to be various strategies to do that. Again, I can't speak specifically for Treehouse, but it's going to spread in a number of different ways. On you mentioned mobile devices. That's probably a really great route to go because often in a lot of countries, that's a more popular consumption device than an actual computer. So paying attention to mobile will be pretty important as a piece of that. But does that kind of answer your question, or is that kind of a non-answer?
Well, I think you've kind of highlighted it, but I'm wondering, what kind of things are you guys starting to put into place to kind of roll over into that model?
We're not really allowed to comment on future developments for Treehouse, unfortunately.
There's nothing concrete at this time anyway. I mean, it's just something that we're talking about internally, and eventually, we'd love to make it happen, but yeah, nothing to say right now.
So you haven't done anything in the past in order to try and target the platform?
Not specifically, no.
We target as many platforms as we can.
That's fair.
All right, thanks so much for calling, Rick.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Later.
All right, once again, we are live, and you can call us at 407-545-7924.
That's 407 what was the middle
545
407-545
swag.
Jinx.
Yeah. Rob asks, what's your preferred way of uploading files to a server? Through Sublime, doing it manually with FileZilla, etc.
First of all, I did not know that you could do that directly through Sublime, but that's interesting. I assume that there's a plugin or something, or maybe it's built in.
Sublime Text has just a ton of plugins.
Sure.
I prefer to upload files using some sort of secure copy mechanism. Generally, that'll be done through SSH. FTP is pretty insecure because you can see anything that's transmitted through each server. With something that is secure, SFTP, SCP, it's encrypted end-to-end. So if you have any sensitive information, it won't be leaked in transit.
If I'm just doing like a quick static HTML, CSS website, I'll just use SFTP and use some sort of client like FileZilla or CyberDoc, something of that nature.
Yeah, I like Transmit.
Yeah, Transmit is pretty good as well.
Transmit's a good one. And they're not sponsoring the show, just FYI. Grace asks, is Adobe Flash an obsolete choice for making mobile games these days?
Yes, because I don't know of any mobile platform that actually runs Flash. Maybe Android does. I don't know. I don't think it does, though.
Don't hold me to this, but I think newer versions of Flash might be able to export to the iPhone, but I'm not sure. I haven't looked at Flash in a really long time. And when I say Flash, I mean Adobe Flash, not the DC superhero, the Flash.
It's good to make that distinction.
Yeah, Barry Allen Flash, obviously, not Wally West.
People could get confused. Zachary says, a lot of people say responsive web design isn't the end-all of multi-display development. If not responsive development, then what? Well, this is an ongoing debate on the internet. You could just make a responsive website that's going to work on a multitude of different resolutions. So it will work on, a mobile phone, a tablet, desktop, and so on. But there's this other alternative, which is making separate websites for each one of those platforms. So which should you do? Generally, I'm going to err on the side of responsive web design just because it's easier, you have one code base to maintain, and it's really just simpler. It's less to worry about. It's kind of a little bit complex up front to learn some of the nuances, but when you break it down, it's actually quite simple, especially after you learn it. It's easy to do it anytime you're building a new site. But
also, the variance is kind of where we started with the whole multi-display output. So people would make different versions for their phones. I don't know if you've ever seen any websites recently that when the iPhone first came out in like 2007, they were designed to look like the iPhone interface at the time. You can still see some of them these days, and that would be an example of making a site that uses a different version for the main desktop site and a mobile version. So,
yeah, it's an interesting strategy, but you're actually seeing that less and less these days. A lot of big name websites that did have separate desktop and mobile sites are actually just going responsive and just doing away with their mobile sites. You have to have a very, very specific use case where your mobile site truly has different functionality than your desktop website, but it's really hard to think of any examples of that. I mean, it's kind of an unusual case.
Yeah. Also, I think, what we're going to see is not something, we're going to develop this way instead of doing it responsively. I think what we'll see is the techniques for responsive design are going to evolve as the web evolves. I mean, we've already got situations today where we're loading different versions of images depending on what device you're on. Different versions of the HTML5 spec are there specifically for that reason. So we're getting new elements all the time for responsive development since we are in a multi-device world.
All right, so our next question comes from Dale, and Dale says, I'm learning CSS and HTML, and I'm cruising through the WordPress courses. Is there a recommendation for a course that eventually links how developers can intertwine WordPress with HTML, CSS, and PHP? There probably already is a course like that on...
I'm sure there is.
On Treehouse. We have a lot of WordPress courses. So if you just go onto teamtreehouse.com and hit the library, you can look in the WordPress category and see all of our WordPress courses. I think Jason is attempting to pull it up right now.
Don't remember my password.
Uh-oh.
Nick Pettit 12345 isn't working for me.
Okay, let me try it on mine then.
My usual password.
Jason. So yeah, if you just go into our library here and you click on WordPress, you can see all of our WordPress courses. We teach WordPress admin settings. We talk about BuddyPress. There's how to build great WordPress.com websites. So if you don't want to do it, using WordPress.org and their open source platform, you can just jump onto WordPress.com and have it hosted. Right here, building a WordPress theme with Foundation 5 is probably more so the kind of thing that you're looking for. So yeah, whether you want to customize WordPress using PHP or you want to get into template design with the HTML and CSS, there's certainly a lot of different stuff on Treehouse. Here's how to build a WordPress theme, so on. A lot of WordPress courses, wow.
Yeah.
And we're adding more all the time.
Jacob asks, when should I learn Sass? What CSS/HTML level should I be at before taking it on?
Really, Sass is pretty useful almost immediately after you learn CSS. I do still recommend learning CSS first before jumping straight into Sass. A lot of people will look at Sass and say, oh, I'm just going to be writing that anyway. I should just learn Sass. Why bother with CSS? Or same with JavaScript and jQuery. People oftentimes will think, I should just learn jQuery. We're going to get back to that question. Got another call.
This is the Treehouse live show with Jason and Nick. What's going on?
Hey, what collaboration tools do you recommend?
Oh boy, there's tons of collaboration tools. For source control, I recommend Git. For communication, we use HipChat in the company as well as some custom software. Project management, lots of people use Basecamp. For sharing code, GitHub, that's a pretty popular one.
In the past, we've used things like Asana and Trello for task management. Both were pretty good. I liked both of them a lot. They had their merits. We use all sorts of stuff to collaborate, and really it just comes down to whatever it is that we're trying to collaborate on. These days, we've gotten kind of such a specific structure to our company that we actually have custom tools just for that. Yeah, that's kind of a smattering of different stuff. Does that kind of answer your question?
Yeah, some of it. What about for wireframing, design revisions, kind of passing stuff back and forth with markup?
So I like to use Balsamic mockups.
Balsamic is wonderful.
Only because I've been using it since like forever. I really like Balsamic a lot. There's also OmniGraffle. I know a lot of people use that to wireframe. There's a bunch of them out there. But to pass them back and forth, at Treehouse, we started out using Dropbox. To make interactive wireframes, we've been using InVision app. And I think there's a new one out that does something similar to that. I can't think of the name of it. But we've been using InVision app, and basically you can take an array of screenshots and kind of highlight different portions of the screenshots. That should be a button or a drop-down menu and so on. And then you can link to other screenshots to kind of make a pseudo-interactive mock-up, and that's pretty cool. But since using Dropbox, we've actually, I think, switched everything over to Google Drive. And I think we're using that these days to collaborate. And that's another tool that we use a lot. We use Google Docs, Google Spreadsheets, and all of those Google tools to kind of collaborate in the company.
And not really a collaboration thing, but there's an OS X app that I really like called MonoSnap, which lets you take screenshots really easily and annotate images. It's kind of like Sketch, if you remember that, but that program became pretty useless after Evernote took it over. So I switched to MonoSnap.
What about brainstorming?
We tend to not do much of that here. We basically just start working immediately.
We don't think at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
We're kidding.
Just kidding. I don't have any good brainstorming apps.
Yeah, I don't actually have any apps that I use for brainstorming specifically. Usually for me, that's just pen and paper. I mean, we'll chat a lot in HipChat just because of the immediacy of the medium, or if we need to hash out an idea, we'll kind of talk over
Google Hangouts.
Yeah, Google Hangouts. We've actually started using HipChat's video chat feature, which was just released pretty recently. That's kind of interesting. But yeah, for brainstorming, it's, again, kind of a mixture of things. No specific app that we use. Does that kind of answer your question?
Absolutely.
Cool.
All right, cool. Thanks a lot, Rick. All right, we also wanted to give a shout out to Kayla.
Mm-hmm.
How you doing, Kayla? All right, Salvatore says, I'm thinking of switching careers into web design, development, or user experience design. Any advice on preparing a portfolio?
Yeah, I think, it's important to pare down your portfolio as much as possible. There's a big temptation to put everything you've ever done in your portfolio, but that's almost always a mistake. You want to really present your best work, and, that could be maybe like 4 or 5 items, or maybe just like 3 really good case studies where you say, for this company, they had these needs, and, here's the initial sketches I started out with, here's the final product, and, here's their testimonial with it, and you put together like a nice case study. So if you don't have a whole lot of work to present, that could be a good way to kind of emphasize how much detail and work you put into each individual project. So, I think with portfolios, the biggest rule is that less is more, and you want to present your best work above all else. So go for quality over quantity. That
is great advice. I don't have anything to add to that because, Nick, you nailed it.
Thank you, Jason.
So that's the last question that we have for today. Thanks, everybody, for calling in. I'd like, if you don't already watch the Treehouse Show, I'd recommend checking out today's episode. We have some very fascinating, hard-hitting stories in that episode.
You can check out our YouTube channel at youtube.com/GoTreehouse and just look for the Treehouse Show. We're also on iTunes. Again, you can just search for the Treehouse Show.
Yeah, and leave us a rating if you are so inclined. Nick, who are you on Twitter?
I am at NickRP.
And I am at Seifer. We want to thank everybody for tuning in to this live stream, and we will see you next time.